Hey guys, it's the Psych and today I'm going to be doing a video on how do we set new goals for ourselves and how do we balance the opportunity cost versus the risk. How do we balance being happy and our own ambitions? Alright guys, let's get to it. So guys, it comes down to who do you really want to be? What kind of person are you trying to become? I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, things that I really regret, things that I wish I could take back, but every decision has a consequence and you have to live with it. I would say every year and even every couple of months, you should have a new goal, whether it's a short-term or long-term goal, and stick with it. But you should always ask yourself why. Why am I doing this goal? What is this goal? What does it mean to me? And really, why am I doing it? A lot of people value success and achievements. You look at celebrities, like Drake, these people are at the top of the game. These are the people that have already reached the heights of success and achievements. And a lot of them are so depressed and sad because their values are about money and achieving new successes. There will always be new heights to reach. It will never stop. If this is what you value, you'll never be happy. You'll never be content. But if you value the people around you or the things that, whether it's your family or your friends or helping others or your kids, kind of living in the present, not looking so much towards the success, but what's around you? Look around you. What's going on? What makes you happy? Everyone's situation is different. I understand that. But if you can value the things around you, the things that are already present, then these successes and these goals that you're trying to achieve become a lot easier to obtain. You need to reevaluate your progress on these goals. Be mindful and be honest with yourself. You're always going to be your own biggest critic, no matter what. But you always control your own narrative. And the theme that's going to be going for this video is you control your narrative. No matter what situation you're in, no matter how hard it is, you can control it. So whether it's you want to become more financially secure for your family, or you feel like you're unhappy with your current situation and that's why you have a new goal set, you choose and you achieve the goals that you want to achieve. It's all in your hands. And some of us have goals of becoming financially secure. For a lot of people, that's really important. Why wouldn't it be? Now, I have a story when I was an RN, and there was a CNA that I was working with, and she was struggling to make ends meet financially. She was working and picking up a lot of extra shifts. She was only supposed to work, I think, 3 or 4 days a week, and instead she was working 6 to 7 days, and she was really unhappy. She wanted to spend more time with her family, but she couldn't. She had to pick up these extra shifts. So I told her, what about, becoming an RN? Why don't you go back to school and look at it? And she was worried about maybe not being smart enough. And I was just telling her that, being an RN, she could work 2 to 3 days a week, make the same amount of money, and be able to spend a lot more time with her family, because that is what she valued. And she was just saying, it might take a lot of time. It's going to be, I don't know if I can afford to, take time from work and go back to school. And again, she controls the narrative. I try to tell her that, whether it's a 2-year sacrifice to go back to school and get your RN versus spending 30 years being unhappy with your current situation. I mean, this person was super overworked. She was really tired, exhausted. And I was just trying to show her the pros and cons of this decision. Every decision you make will have risks. Every decision you'll make, will have consequences. But, you never know until you try. And to her, fast forward, she actually ended up going back to school. Did just fine. She's an RN now. I'm not sure if she's picking up extra shifts, but she's doing really good. Much happier, working a lot less, and she's able to do a lot more things that she values, as in spending time with her family. That was the big thing for her. I think no matter what, it's all about being happy in life. There are times when you're really going to have to put in the work. You're going to really have to grind. And there are times when you should dial it back a little bit. You know your body the best. You know your mind the best. You never want to sacrifice your own mental health and well-being for a goal or a success. You want to learn to kind of balance that. Whether it's exercising more, eating healthier, taking a semester off. It's not a race. You'll get there when you get there. You should never compare yourself to others. I think that's the worst thing you can do. You know best. You control your own narrative. You know when to dial it back. You know when to push harder. And ultimately, you'll reach your goal if you're really focused on it. I think it's always about that balance. I think society nowadays is all about go, go, go. And some people can do that and still maintain that happiness. But if that's not someone like you, that's not something that I could do. Just dial it back. Just focus on what you can control. Push hard when you need to. Relax when you need to. It's okay. No one's going to judge you for it. So my goals were simple. I was 20 years old. I was a business major at the time, getting close to graduating. And around this time, my grandma was diagnosed with terminal cancer. She was someone I was really close with. And around the time she died, I asked her for advice like I normally did. And I said, hey, I'm not the happiest with my major, but it's gonna help me pay the bills. I'll have my bachelor's. And she told me, that you're really young and you have a lot of life ahead of you. So you make a decision that will make you happy. And I thought to myself, would I be happy doing this career or working this career for several more years or 30 years? And in my head, I just didn't think that was going to be it. I just don't think I would have been happy. And a lot of my family took care of my grandma. She had terminal cancer and she never had to go to a hospice. They all took care of her the best they could. And I'm just sitting there watching them take care of her, whether it's a doctor, a nurse practitioner, a PA, an RN. We have my whole family. They're basically a whole medical system. And it just opened up my eyes to wanting to do a little bit, do something different, a career that I could help others. I've always been a pretty selfish kid. And so when I saw see how selfless this profession is and how much you can help people. So I switched to nursing. And I applied for nursing school. I got in, and it was much harder than I ever thought it could have been. I was doing pretty good as a business major, and in nursing school I failed my first ever exam, and it was like a wake-up call to me. I said, wow, this is really tough. I really need to get it together and buckle down. So I studied so hard, and I was never the best student, but I passed. I graduated. I focused really hard. And when I graduated, I was thinking, wow, I graduated, I have my bachelor's. But really, I wasn't that happy yet because you have to pass the board exam, the NCLEX. That's the big barometer of where you're at. That's how you practice in your career. And I knew that my journey wasn't over until I finished, passing that NCLEX. So I studied for months, and luckily I was able to pass that board exam. But that was one of the hardest exams that I ever took. I had all 265 questions. And after I passed that board exam, I called my mom, I called my dad, I told my friends. That was probably the happiest, one of the top 10 happiest moments in my life. If I could, have all that happiness and encapsulate it in a pill and just take that every day, that would be amazing. But it doesn't last forever. But that was, that signified my journey of finishing nursing school and passing the board exam and starting my career. Everything that I worked hard for. All that sacrifice, that was my goal. And then now that I finished all these goals, well then now I have to have new goals because that's just the educational side. Now I have to find a job. Now I need to establish myself in my career. And everything is an unknown until you get, and put your feet in there and get your feet wet. So fast forward several months and I was really struggling to find a job working as a nurse. I was applying to so many jobs and I was not getting any calls back. And I was pretty down on myself. That was probably the first time that I really truly felt down. I was just waking up and there was no new job offers. I kept getting rejected. And luckily I was able to get a job at the right time. I got an offer to work in surgical intermediate care. So I took that and I was really happy. I was excited to work there for the first 3 to 6 months. And then I started to kind of lose it. I wasn't as happy anymore. And I'm thinking, man, did I make the wrong decision being a nurse? I just wasn't happy. So I stayed there for another 6 months and I actually left and I moved to working in Psych. Now, mental health was my favorite clinical in school and I was really looking forward to it. It was a new, fresh start. I appreciate the first opportunity, but my mental well-being and happiness is the most important to me. So I started working in Psych, and I did enjoy that first year. And then again, it started to get more grueling. In Psych, it was very mentally taxing, this patient population I was working with. And I actually saw a Psych NP that was working on my unit, and I asked him some questions about it. Do you like working as an NP? How do you feel about it? I also asked him the main question: are you happier working as an NP versus being an RN? He was actually an RN at that same unit before, and he just told me how much he enjoyed it, the autonomy, the responsibility, and like he said, he was really a lot happier. He was starting to get burnt out. So what I did was, after about the 2-year mark, I was starting to get really burnt out from Psych and working as an RN. So I went to Psych NP school. I applied, I got in, and for basically the same reasons that he did. I wanted to have more autonomy, more financial stability, and ultimately I wanted to be really happy. I didn't know how it was going to go, if I was going to really enjoy being an NP, but again, you take risks for what you want. And I thought that Psych NP school was difficult, but I think at this time I was really focused and motivated to start a new career. I was really excited and pumped up to be a Psych NP. But it's similar to being an RN, you still have NCLEX. Until you pass, the Psych NP board exam, then you can't practice. There was a lot of pressure on me because I already had a job lined up, and if I didn't pass this board exam, then I would lose that job. So what I did was I took a review course called the Lantern Review. I actually bought it while I was still in school, and I actually reviewed it. I did much better on my courses because of that, and I also used it to help me pass the board exam. The YouTube link is actually in the description below. I actually have the Lantern Review there, and I also have a 10% coupon code off if that's something that interests you. I do think it would be really beneficial. It helped me out so much, and I think it definitely help you guys out. So being a psych nurse practitioner holds a lot of value to me. In less than a year, I've been able to help so many people's lives and impact them in a way that I never thought that I could before. There are days when I'm exhausted and stressed out, but when you have a patient that you remember their first appointment and they were completely devoid of hope, they were hopeless, and for some reason, whatever medication you prescribe them or whatever therapy that you administer, they get better and they're hopeful again and they're happy. It is the best feeling you'll ever have. That is the best feeling to kind of give and empower someone's, to get their life back. There's also the other side of the spectrum where no matter what you do, how hard you try, the patient that you treat will not get better. And that is the worst part about this job. And realistically, that's going to happen a lot. I think that is the worst part about this job. So, you take the good with the bad. You try to help people the best you can. These people come to you for hope. They trust you. They come to you for guidance. In this career, there's so much responsibility. But the way that we can help people, it's the best feeling in the world. I'm telling you, once you have that first patient that you see them smile again, it's the best feeling. Once I become unhappy with the job, I ask myself, how can I fix this? What are the pros and cons? What can I do? Should I leave being an RN? Should I go back to school? You have to weigh these pros and cons in your head. And am I ready to sacrifice if I'm going to go back to school? When you become unhappy with your work, it starts to seep into your home life, your personal life. And then, obviously it starts affecting your overall mood. You can become depressed and sad. And a lot of people, I think, nowadays, stick with a job, whether it's for financial stability, it pays the bills. But when you start to dread going to work, then obviously there needs to be a change. I understand that some people could be making $200,000 and, if they switch careers, they might make half of that. But they are miserable, sad. What kind of life is that to live? So you have to balance these pros and cons. And ultimately, what do you think, will make you the happiest? I think it's really important to set new goals. You only live one life, and you get to write your own story. You control the narrative. You're the author. Everyone has different adversities, different things they have to face on a day-to-day basis. But the thing is, life is not fair. And again, you control the narrative. I understand that people's situations are different. Whether it's you're a single parent with 3 kids, or you're not financially ready. But whatever goal you have in mind, or a goal that you want to set out and accomplish, no matter how long it takes, and again, like I say, it's not a race. Once you accomplish this goal and you see how difficult it was or how much you had to risk, how much sweeter it is when you actually reach it. Life can be crazy. It can pull you in so many different directions. But when someone is focused on a task or a goal and it comes to fruition, there's no better feeling. It all comes down to being happy. If you're not happy with your career, or you're not happy where you are in life, then you have to make changes. There are so many factors that force us to make decisions. But again, the theme of this video is you control that narrative. It was important for me to strengthen relationships with my family, to start a new career that I'd be happier with. I come from a place where I was a 21-year-old selfish kid that only cared about himself, to having a career now that I can really impact others. And it's very eye-opening to me to get this kind of gratification that I don't think I ever had. That was really important to me at the time. I recently started my own private practice because I was starting to become unhappy with my current job, which I'm leaving. I already put in my 2 months notice. But it started affecting my personal life. I took the plunge. I know there's risks involved in starting your own private practice, but you have to take risks for what you want. I wanted to see less patients in a day so I didn't feel overworked. I can spend as much time now as I want with my patients, as I see fit. I control the narrative. I'm my own boss. If I want to relax, I can relax. If I want to see more patients, I can see more patients. I can live my life and money isn't really a problem anymore. I can work 1 or 2 days a week and I'm okay. I can make ends meet. If my family needs me for, finances, or they need my time, I can do that for them because I run my own practice now. This is where I'm at in 2020. Who knows where I'll be in 2021. But again, I control that narrative. But one thing I can tell you is that I'm happy. And that's everything to me. All right, guys, the second P. Out.